Site Yerushalmi Daf Aleph, the beginning of the sixth parak, Mishakine. Found the Elige parak Mishakine lo v'nister. So husband warned her v'nister, and she was secluded. I feel shaman oifa pareach. Yoitzi v'ting ksuba. Divrei Eliezer, the voice gives a ksuba. Shumayim mishiyisu v'yitnu ba muzeres b'levana. When the women are gasping about it, that's when we say Yoitzi v'ting ksuba. Mi Shekina Lavanestro, so to Rabbi Yochanan Shem Rabbi Yana Kola in Perika Mishahisraba, the whole Perik is handling case where he already warned it previously, Vamalat history Mishplini, right? So don't be excluded with that person. Mishakinala, now Vanistera, and he was Mekana, obviously, and she was Nista with that person, she was secluded with that person, and now going to the carbon Aida, what happened was now we heard Shama Meafa Pareach, or whatever, he heard the little birdie came and said that she was Nitma. No, in other words, that it starts by the stira. In other words, what he's saying, what Shimon Lakish is saying is that that over here what happened was he heard about the stira from the Oifa Perech. Okay, Amar Rabbi Zima Kum Rabbi Yosa, later Shimon Lakish Polik. Not that he's arguing directly with Rabbi Yochanan, Elasova Kain Tani holds like the Tana, but who makel be'ed istiri, he holds like the Tana in the first parak, where it's brought down, the Kabnei brings down that Rebbe Eliezer, that son Rebbe, the Reish Perik Kama, Damo Mashkelo al pi eit echav al pi atzmoi, Hamid Malastira. In other words, that over there, and I was just quoting from the Carbonada, that he could, that he's mashker even on his own. Those once we established that he warned her, and so the stira part of it, Rebbe Eliezer is Mekalon, and it's just in Neid Echad is enough. Okay, and then Taninon Machlokes is Tani Stam. So we have our version of the Mishnah, like we just read. There's brings down a machlokes between Rebbe Eliezer and Rebbe Yeshua. However, some Tanoim don't have Rebbe Eliezer in the Mishnah. So there's some learn it that's a stam. It's a stam Mishnah. Rebbe Ziu Kom Ramona Layal Mad Rebbe Eliezer and Rebbe Yeshua Polik. El began the Tanina Yeshua Ma'at Sheyisav Yitnu Ba Mutzaris Bilavana. So let's just see the Kabbalah. The loyal madam Rebbe Eliezer Palu Rebbe Yeshua claiming no lo danan Tanina Machlok is Dilma Rosa Yeshua loy pligi. Who says now Mishnah argued at all? Amar Mechodav loy pligi. There's no Machlokes over here. Each one just gives his own shit. Okay, Rebbe Abba Mori boy Hamon Amar Rebbe Chizki Rebbe Yavo B'Shem Rebbe Eliezer Kol Malkin Shon Rebbe Machlokes because of Shon Stam Loch Kestam. V'Kayim Ha'achein. So Rebbe Abba Mori asked. That right, we know there's a famous rule that kol makom that anytime where Rebbe learned machlokes, and then afterwards you have a stam mishnah, so halacha is like the stam mishnah. Because you want hachin, so just see the carbonate of kind of hachin tanoi the tani bereisha stam, right? The ones that had unlike our mishnah that it was they didn't learn Rebbe Eliezer, they just learned the stam mishnah. Parach l'Reb Shimon Lakish, Esn Lakish, the mashna b'stira sagi. Right, that seems to be that if you learn it stam, then that's the halacha. Right? Afil b'shmiyas oif haperech. Mashma the hilchas of Rebbe Eliezer, the parakam, the stira afil piatzmei saki. Like we just learned that Rebbe Eliezer is the one who's makel by stira, and eid echad is enough. But nan kaimon the Rebbe Eliezer shamuti isn't Rebbe Eliezer from Talmidei Shammai. Mikashi klala klala. How can the halacha be like Rebbe Eliezer? Because if you learn that this is a stam, right? Machlokes v'achas kach stam. The halacha is like the stam. The stam we know is Rebbe Eliezer. So how can that be the halacha? Anan tanina mutzarois is tanitana muzarois. Okay, so now the Gemara. Okay, the Gemara brings down that there's a question of what the exact word is over here. So mandam mutzarois mitzranama. These are the women that are menapets. They're combing the tzemer. So that's where the word mutzaris comes from. Matzranama. Umada ma muzarois shizron keton. They're weaving flax. Okay, so the first on that kasha we didn't take it. We'll give a teretz on that. How we know that how can it be that this is a stam? If you hold that this is a stam, the Gemara blives with the kasha on that. Now, manan kayam freti Gemara. So now we said so. Zok the carbonate manan kayam. How did now stik mashiyas v'yitnu ba muzois b'lavana b'mai ari. What are we talking about? Over Mana kemen in, behen de shama v'lo yadaman min man de shama then kaif parechu. If we're talking about a case where you heard a rumor, the rumor's going around, people are talking about it. We don't know who, we don't know the source. So then the kaif parechu, it's the same as the little birdie telling you there's no difference. Then behen de shama v'yadaman man shama, then kaif pietu. Then it's a case of aim. If you know the source of it, so I heard it from so and so, heard from so and so, heard from so, right? So then that's a case of ABP8. Elokein Akel and Pliny, Mila de Lesbe Tim Liusim. It's talking about, and I'll just be the carbonada. I should just go back for a second. MP8. And the carbonate says, Elaboration Perikama, Mivoilon im MP8, Mahani Bestira, Rebbe Eliezer. Below Shita, and it wasn't answered. So Tushut Mehach the Mahani, Ki Hechel the Mahani Lenin Tomel, Rebbe Yeshua. We had a case on the first daf of the Masechta. We had a question over there if MP8 helps for Stira, and there was no answer. So over here, if you say that Muzars, right, Muzars Belavana would be aid mipi aid, so that and then that's okay. So then here you go. There's your answer. Obviously, we didn't give that answer over there. Okay. Elo Canaan Kiyom. We said Zok the Carbonada. Elo Hachma Eskim. We're talking about Pliny Shoma, Pliny. Davar Shem by Yisoid Ve'ika. So there's no basis for it at all. So it can't be talking about a case of aid mipi aid. Timil Yusim Perish Yisoid. Came Perish Baruch. Okay, that's what the word means. So we're coming out that it means it's an unsourced rumor. We don't know where it came from. In other words, people are hearing. You have it's this one heard it from so and so, heard it from so and so. So it's different than just a completely unsubstantiated rumor. However, we can't get to the initial source. So it's not exactly Eid P8, but it's also not Eid Perech either. Halacha Beis, Akteli Mishnah, Amir Echad and Idris Yishin Nitmeis. Lo Yesu Shoisa. If you have an Eid Echad that says, I saw that she was Nitmeis, then she wouldn't drink. She's not privileged to drink because there's a claim of that she's Tame. Lo Yod, not only that, so the Mishnah, La Filo Evet, Afilo Shivcha, Real Namonon, Aflo Paisim Ksubasa, they can even cause her to pass Leksuba. Chamois, or Bas Chamois, or mother-in-law, or her sister-in-law, it's Horos or a co-wife, Yivimta, anybody she might become Yivama with, Ubas, Bala, or stepdaughter, Areil, Nemanis. These are all have Nemanis, and the Mishnah will explain because these people have a natural inclination not to like her. The only thing is they have an emunis as far as that she won't drink. We view it as reglan l'dav, she might be tummy, therefore she won't drink. And there's only a drink if the woman only drinks if there's a real question of whether it took place or not. But if there's reglan l'dav that she's tummy, then we won't give her to drink. Amid echad ani reisish nit meis v'chulei. Dukti more of eidem ba, ainly ela eid. Minayin afilo eved afilo shivcha. How do we know if he even an eved or shivcha? Tamaloim of eidem ba, mikol makim. That anybody would be believed, even an eved or shivcha. Rabbi Shmuel, amil kol makim shnei b'torah eid stam. Harei b'chlal shnei eidim. Achi faresh. Hakos shu eid echad. Rabbi Shmuel says, the famous rule, we have it in the Bible also, that any time the Torah uses the word aid doesn't mean one aid means two aidim, unless we tell you otherwise. Ashkach Toni, Rabbi Shmuel Omer Shnei Eidim. So Rabbi Shmuel says Shnei Eidim. Those are the covenant. So that's a kasha parich. So let's just see the covenant. Parich Rabbi Shmuel. The save of aid mash mashnaim. Aid means two. Itzrich aid. Itzrich Eidem Bo, the Be'echod Sagi. No one rabbis have it. So according to Rishmol, the Gemara's kasha is that how do we know to include an Eved in a Shivcha? Right? We dash in the postuk originally Eidem Bo. Right? So it's Mikol Malkoim, but according to Rishmol, it says Eidem Bo is Mashma Tu Eidim. Right? So let me see the like Rabbi Shmuel. So we say so that maybe the kasha is why maybe the Mishnah is not going to Rabbi Shmuel. Azok de carbonate. The Kolmak never without eight stam. Harel bechlav schneiden. The ksiv lo yokem eid echad beish. Yimash shnebe eight any deshu echad. Right. So right. Elametro Kolmak never eight. Arei kan shneim. It's two. Achiyif lecha akosov echad. Until we tell you that it's one. Mashani ashkech tani matze breiset hani bo Rabbi Shmuel. Ima afle eide tuma bin and shnaim lafsidik subaso. Polig masniten. Or inami kasav zok de carbonate. Inami kasav Rabbi Shmuel afilu. Shaloi lishtois loy mahani ed echad. Dochi kamakro ve'edim bo. Dahainu shnayim edim ein bo. She loy nisbasa. Dahainu shenensa. Afal pi sheyesh ed echad shenensa afilu hachi shaisa. It says like this. We'll start again from the Gemara. Amad ed echad and Yerushalmi Sotah Daf ba. Ainli ele eight. So we know an eight, fine. There's one eight. Minayin afilu eved afilu shivcha. In other words, that's even psula edus. Hamalim ve'edim ba b'kol malkim. V'eitim oru Rabbi Shmuel. What about Rabbi Shmuel? Rabbi Shmuel Amar kol malkim shneim b'torah eight stam hareil b'chlal shnei edim. So be'edim ba is mashma two edim you don't have. Right? Ad sheif avshe kosav shu eid echad. So what does he do? So the Mishnah is potentially not going to Rabbi Shmuel. Because we see over here, even after filu shivcha. So Ashkech Torah Mishmalayim Ataka Shnei Yedim. And he would hold that Itakani two Edim. That's the pshat that the Bnei Moshe brings down. The Taki two Edim, and he would not agree with this Mishnah. Fine. Masnita Mishoid Rekiva Retarfan. Our Mishnah. Okay, we'll just go with the carbon aid on this. That masnit not shaloi hoide Rabbi Kiva Tafan. Our Mishnah, what we're talking about is before Rabbi Kiva's mind Rabbi Tafan. Och Yerusha zok the carbon aid. Hodet nan she'eid echad nemal hafsidik subasa. This in the Mishnah says that even an eid echad could cause it to lose a ksuba. Ask Rabbi Kiva koidim shahoidel Rabbi Tafan kedamasik besamoch. That is comes out Rabbi Akiva koidim shahoidel Rabbi Tafan before he agreed with Rabbi Tarfon. So let's see the Gemara. Masnita Mishahoid Rabbi Kiva Rabbi Tarfon. The Tanur Rabbi Tarfon Oimer. Eid Echad Amen Tamaisa. Eid Echad is Nemon to be Metama. Vein Eid Echad Nemon Lafsid B'Ksuvas. However, Eid Echad is not Nemon to cause it to lose a ksuba. In other words, an Eid Echad could is Nemon to say that she was Tameh, that she was having somebody else, and therefore she won't drink. But it cannot cause a lose a ksuba. Kiboim kshem she'ed echad neman l'tamoisa. The same way eid echad is neman, right? We were believing to say that she was metama. Kain eid echad neman lafsidu b'ksuba. So she also the eid echad would cause it to lose a ksuba as well. Amla Ritavin. So Ritavin says, Rabbi Kiva eichem matinu eid echad b'mam klum. Where do we find that an echad has any validity when it comes to money? We know eid echad is nem b'yisurim, but not by money. Amla Rabbi Kiva eichem matinu eid echad beishes ish klum. Where do we find that an Eidech is any monasiv by an Eshes Ish? Right? Elo Kishem Sheidechad Nemel Tamai, so the same way Eidechad is Nemel to be Metamaher, Kach Eidechad Nemel Afsida B'Ksuvasa. Since it's a Chiddush over here, then the Chiddush is that the Nemel for the Eshes Ish part of it, the Eid, so the Eidechad will also be Nemel to cause the lose Ksuva. Chazer Rekiva Liyas Shoina Krib Tarfin. So it comes out for some reason, Rabbi Kiva, who had a good time over here, ended up going and learning like Rabbi Tarfon that in Eid Echad is taken not Nemon to cause it to lose her ksuba. So therefore, going back, we said that the Mishnah, where it says Eid Echad is Neman to write Aflo Poisla Ksubasa, so that is before Rebbe Kiva ended up with Moed to Reb Tarfon. Rabban Bar Chia boy Chamaisa. What about Chamaisa Malon? Shamra Nidri Sishin it means I saw that she was Tami. Bo Echad Vama Nidri Sishin it means. Ma Bo Lahot. What is he coming to made over here, the Eid Echad? Imlash Goisa, just she should be able to Memlash Goisa, that's Kfaniris. Shaloi Lishtos, because the mother-in-law came and said, Nidri Sishin it means. Eloi ba elav sidim ksuvasa. So the only purpose that Echad serves in this case, we already know from her mother-in-law that she was nitmates, she's not going to drink. So what's the Echad's accomplishment over this? It must be the accomplishment is Eloi ba elav sidim ksuvasa. Right. So let's just see the carbonate. Now the carbonate says Hach gesin achmayis shaman ani risish nitmates. V'akach bo eid Echad v'heyit shenitmates. Ma v'chule mi nem lafsid ksubasa. I like. Well, the eid Echad have an amonis over here to cause it to lose ksuba or not. So ma ba v'chule eloloi bo lafsid ksubasa. So the carbonate of al zeh ein roy la minoi. We're not going to believe him. They ain't eid Echad neman lahafsid moment. Because like we said before, an eid Echad is not neman to cause a person to lose money. Bishlam im gam shalolishtais bolahoid. If you're saying that the Eid Echad is coming the katchila, so let's say the mother-in-law wasn't here. So the Echad is coming to say, I saw that she was tamei. Amina migda nema shlalash kaisa nema lav avsidik subasa. So then we could say miga. Once we're believing the Eid that he's not that he's being metama her, so then we'll be nem on him also for the ksuba. Aval hashta sheinu dus mahani lashko shebeik vanir shalolishtas anyway because of the mother-in-law. Either, right? Or maybe, and there's the question, let's say, well, maybe we look at it this way. Let's say had the chamaisa not been here, right? So her mother-in-law wasn't here. So now, even with the mother-in-law here, since the Ika Edus, if he would come here, let's say the mother-in-law wouldn't be, if he would come and he would be made, so we would believe him. So too, let's believe him on the. Let's also believe him now on the on the to lose Iksuba. So the Carbonada, I don't believe is Gairis those last words in Lon Shem of Sid Mammon al Pied Echad. No, it's he leaves that's the question. He doesn't address it. Shem of Sid Mammon al Pi, or we can read it Shem of Sid Mammon al Pi Echad. That's the question. The question is maybe we would say that he's not Neman to cause a lose the Ksuva because Aim of Sid Mammon al Pied Echad. Fine. Rabbi Yossi boy, Shaman Efa Pereach, and Iris here Shnit Meis. Okay, here's that proverbial birdie, and Iris here Shnit Meis. Atomaloi Hesa Shaisa, right? So he said before, we quoted from the Mishnah, you're not going to make the drink. Uba Echad Baman Iris here Shnit Meis. Ma Bolahod Imlash Goisa, right? Imlash Goisa Kvan Iris Shalishtais. Eloi Ba, Elav Sid Buxavasa. Shem Afsid Mamin, Alpi Eid Echad. So again, so you have a second thing, same. So it's okay. It's a different. Here was saying for Perek, there was Chamaisa. Madru Yesem employing Yocha Chelev. This Reisi boy. So let's see if we can prove from over here. What would the halacha be? Right. So he says, "Pliny Yocha Chelev is Reisi boy," and I warned him. Ain't like it doesn't get Malchus. Amalei Echad Chelev hu behisru boy Shnayim like Vike Dusa loy beid Echad hu. So now the case over here is let's see the carbonado. I'm a plan yachachela visvesi boy. I want to make a like bach berushem ba eid echad v'ama. And it comes to Ben and says plan yachachela so and so eid chelev ain't a like it except la yakum id eid echad beish l'cholav l'cholchatas. Therefore, we don't believe in eid echad. Amalei echad. However, how about the case is one person came over to him. Amalei echad shu chelev. Talk the carbonado. Right, so a guy comes and says, "Hey, don't eat that. That's chelev achach is uboy shnayim shelo yechlen over achal." And two people come, two edim come. They say, "Hey, don't eat that. It's chelev." Like he gets malchus. We believe the original aid that told us that this is chelev. We believe him in that case that it is chelev. And now that two edim warned him, he would get malchus. Right, so fragt the Gemara, and just again, we're in the carbonated. Like it. He gets mad because the whole thing is based off of what's it based off? It's based off the original guy, the Eid Echad, telling him that's chayla, right? Without that, you have no case. The Shnayim that came in and gave him the Asra would have nothing. So so same thing would be over here with the ikr of the edus by the right now. So, but in our case, the echad came and said she was tamei, right? Even in the case of the chamoisa, or even the case of the oifa pareach, right? So there's no te ls, right, to his edus in terms of tumah, because that we know already she was tumah, she's not going to drink. So it only tells could be for the ksuba. So over here, let him be the same way you're believing him. The whole ikka, the edus of tumah is based off the Eid Echad. Certainly, we should believe him. Why not believe him for the ksuba? Lishnachrina. The carbonated brings down another lashon. Avlagav they do say kate echad hu. Afiloche einen emel avad lahal kaisai. So the carbonated brings another pshat, which is the opposite. He says, in other words, that the edus, in other words, from Malchus, right? In our case of the Chalef, what is he neman for? He's neman for Malchus, to give him Malchus. So over here also he's neman for the Tumah part of it, but not for money. So over here also he wouldn't be neman he wouldn't be neman to cause to lose money. Now, the issue, the pshat over here, the question is which pshat to go with. Obviously, Rabbi Kiva is trying to Rabbi Tarfin, where Rabbi Kiva originally said that he's neman at Eidech is neman to cause the losing ksuba, would fit better in with the second pshat of the carbon Eida, because that would maybe to tell us why Rabbi Kiva would be chayza and hold like Rabbi Tarfin. If you hold the first pshat, then why would Rabbi Kiva be chayza? He is trying to Rabbi Tarfin. Doesn't make sense. Okay. Now we can bring another Rai Madar Biyoda. Continues the Gemara. Madar Biyoda I'm applying Nazir v'nitma. It's racy boy. Ain't it like right? If a guy comes to Bezdin, right? And again, we can also say we're going to give the same similar tariffs, but from a different case. And Rabbi Yossi, similar to Rabbi Yossi gave. So Mimad Rabbi Yudaima also we can figure out a test over here. Pliny Nazir in it, Mes Racy Boy like right? Guy comes to Ben and says, so and so's a Nazir, Joe's a Nazir. I gave him Hasro, he drank wine anyway, ain't it like it? We don't believe that's get Malchus. Amalo Yechad, Nazir at guess, hey Joe, you're a Nazir. Well, how you know you've been Nazirus Alpiv, and Itaka was knowing Nazirus. And then Shasi Yavin Middle Mason and his Rabbi Shnayim, two guys come and say, hey Joe, you're a Nazir. They gave him Asra, like they gave this loy beid echadus again. Say the same thing, and again we bring down a third case from Madar Rabbanoma, Planis kehenis v'zinis. So and so is a kehenis, and she was mezano. Vole baila ubala koyin visreisi boy, and after she was mezano, whereupon she becomes usher to her husband, right? I warned him visreisi boy, warned him ain't no like it doesn't get malchus. However, nistar b'fnei shnayim. If she was nista in front of two eidim and Oma Echad Aniri Sir Shenit Meis, I saw she was tummy. Uba Bailo Leha Kayin Hisruba Ishnayim Loike. Right? And he would get Malchus. I Ike Dusa Loibe Dechadu isn't the Ike Edis, the whole basis for him to get Malchus, right, is right. So two people warned him. What are they warning him off of? They're warning him off of they're basing their warning off the Eid Echad who claims he saw Shenit Meis. So Ike dus Eloi Eid Echadu, and for that's vegan, right? We see that the Eid Echad, right, he would get Malchus from it. Again, depending on which pshat you're going to learn from the Karban Eid, That's how we would that's how we're coming out over here, whether or not the Echad is never to cause it to lose a ksuba. Okay, I actually found this daf a little bit difficult with all these pshatim, and that's why I have to jump to the carbon Ada, and took a while to get this done. Carl